So I just wanted to share just a few thoughts. I will be brief like always, on our belief systems and kind of where they come from and what we can do to be better moving forward. So what happens is that we get up every single day, right? And we write these scripts or we write these narratives to help us kind of navigate through our day, right? Through life, through what happens. And a lot of the scripts or the stories or the narratives that we are telling ourselves are actually completely based on our past experiences, right? We walk and move based on what has happened to us in the past. So our beliefs are what form our actions, all right? And there's two things here. Number one, you have a story. Everybody has a story. If I mentor you, I'm always asking for what your story is. Number two, there's also a story that you are telling yourself. May or may not be true. All right? So you have your own story, but there's also a story you tell yourself every day. And hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you. And I want you to kind of start being more cognitive and be thinking about more, what are you going to tell yourself today? Because what happens is whatever you are thinking is going to affect how you feel, and how you feel is going to affect your actions and what you do. And then that is going to give off some kind of energy, and basically that's going to be the definition of what kind of life that you have. And I know a lot of you want to level up, you want big things, and it all comes down to what you believe, which all comes down to your thoughts. So that's what I want to talk to you guys quickly about today. And I even have a little whiteboard. Don't laugh at me. I think some of the worst things in life is to be suffering. We're all going to suffer at some point. That's inevitable. We're human. We're here. We're alive. But I think it's suffering and thinking that everything is pointless and that it'll never get better, and being stuck in this downward cycle. And then we don't act on things, and then everything just becomes a hot mess. And it doesn't have to be that way, because basically what has happened to all of us is, whether you had a good or a bad childhood, our belief system was formed in us from then. And we have to kind of go back and look at what we were taught and look at what we believe and how it affects our lives, and keep looking at the story. Remember, there's your story and there's a story you tell yourself. And you have to really look at what things you are telling yourself, because that is going to be responsible for how you're going to evolve. Okay? So, little whiteboard. I know. Hopefully you guys can kind of see some of this a little bit. But anyway, so there's something called Beck's cognitive belief triad. And I think it was used, I didn't do a ton of research on it, but it was kind of used about when people are depressed, they get in this cycle. And what happens is these are the three things, right? So people begin to have negative views about themselves, because we're at the center, right? You're at the center. So people believe negative things about themselves. They also start to believe negative things about the world, which is really easy to do because our world is a mess, right? So you consume yourself with negative thoughts about you. You look at the world, it's negative, and then you kind of see your future as being negative, right? And so this is kind of that cycle that people get in for depression, okay? And then we have over here, can you guys see this? Kind of the like a belief triad per se. So you have yourself at the top here. I want to ask you guys, what do you think about yourself? Like, do you think you're capable? There's a reason I put those affirmations up every day. First of all, I need them. But second of all, they're like vitamins for our brain, right? What do you think about yourself? Because what you think about yourself is going to bring your energy. Like I said, your thoughts become your feelings, which becomes how you act, which becomes how you show up, and what your energy is, which is going to make or break what you want to do. So what are you thinking about yourself, right? What do you believe about you? Do you think that you can become a CRNA? Do you think you can be a CEO? Do you think you can be an amazing mother? What are your thoughts? Start checking them. Start just spending some time looking at what you're thinking about, which I know is really scary, but it's the biggest insight into some of your triggers and some of the things that have happened to you in childhood that you may or may not even know are there, okay? So what do you believe about yourself is super huge. And then going back to childhood, what were you told growing up? What do you believe about what you should do and what you shouldn't do? Were you taught not to touch this? Were you taught not to do that? Were you taught that? Sorry, my connection was bad for a second. What are some of those things people told you, like you can or can't do? Because believe it or not, all of those things are still wrapped up in your brain and in your psyche. So think about that. Is there like a reason you're like scared to do something, does that go back to like a childhood memory far ago, right? What thoughts are you having about that? And then last but not least here, people. What do you believe about people? Not what they believe about you. What do you believe about people? Do you believe people are, for the most part, good? Do you believe that we all have traumas, right? We all have triggers. We are all walking around with our own unresolved hurts and issues. And that is why I think people lash out and like people are mean, right? So when we look at these things here, we have a choice. We can either be negative or we can be positive. Our default is always going to be negative. It's always going to be kind of our primitive brain wanting to protect us. Your body is always going to want to protect you. And one ways that do that is we have these default thoughts. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, is she looking at me over there like that? Who does she think she is? Why is she, right? Like we constantly go negative, right? But when you start paying intentional attention to your thoughts, which I do, and it has changed what I've thought about my best friend, what I think about my businesses, what I think about whatever, you will literally change your entire life. What do you believe in? What is your vision? What do you want? If you can focus in on that, set your vision, and think about what truly it is that you believe about yourself, about other people, about the world, and about your future. If you really focus in on your beliefs there, your life will 100% completely change. Who can you become, right? We are complete works in progress, right? Always. I'll be the first one to let you guys know. But I am walking towards this woman that I want to be and that I know I can be. And I'm working through that by working on my thoughts. So I want you guys to really think about over the next few days is, what do you believe? What do you believe, right? What are you believing? What are you telling yourself? What story are you telling yourself? What are you going to tell yourself today to get you to be where you want to be in the future? All right.